Hey guys, it's Jessica from Peace Love Books, and today I'm here with a video for you of some standalone romance series recommendations. And the standalone romance series is a series that has standalone romances. So each book can be read as a standalone, and some of these I've jumped from like book 1 to book 5 to book 2 to book 6, and I just read whatever I want to read, and you can totally do that. A lot of times there are characters that show up in the beginning who get their later books, but you can read their books as standalones. So sometimes a couple doesn't interest me and I'm like, well, I don't know, but then the next couple sounds super interesting, like their story does, so I pick up the next book. And so I do recommend reading all of the books in these series because I love them all, but you can pick up any books in these series, and if you like seeing characters develop in the background of some books, you might like to pick these up. Some storylines like are in the background of the first book, and then we get them in the second book, so I will go ahead and get to some favorite standalone romance series. This book is actually inspired because today is the release day of book 4 in the Becker Brothers series by Candy Steiner. The first book's On the Rocks, Age Gap Romance. Book 2 is an Enemies to Lovers, and then book 3 I don't actually own a paperback of, but that is a Friends to Lovers. And book 4, which I'm reading right now, I am about 30% into it and I'm loving it so far, and it does come out today. It is old-fashioned, and it's like kind of a workplace romance. He is the high school football coach and she is the newly hired physical trainer for the team. She is divorced, single mom, and then he is the oldest adopted brother of the Becker brothers, and he is mixed race, and so it's very interesting, the discussion with all of that, and I love him so much. So I think book 4 is so far my favorite so far of what I've read. The series is amazing. It's small town, it's all different brothers, you can read them as standalones, and I would definitely recommend checking these out. The next series is an older series that I absolutely love. There's only 3 books in it, and that is the Wild Aces series by Chanel Cleeton. Chanel Cleeton actually wrote Next Year in Havana, which is super popular. I feel like that's what really put her on the map, but she had this original series with Berkeley Romance, and I loved them. If you like Top Gun, you would love this series. I will say book 3 is my favorite because that's the one that you're just like dying for as you read. I hate it when I get a couple introduced in book 1 and I'm like, ooh, I want their story, and then it's not until like forever later and you're waiting and waiting and waiting, and then you finally get them, and that's only when though they're like being released. Once they're released, I would have just totally jumped to book 3 because they look so good as a romance, but all 3 of them are really great. They're fighter pilot romances and I love them. Next is interesting because the author traditionally published the first 3, and then she has now independently published 3 more, I think, in the series, and that is the Brooklyn Bruiser series by Serena Bowen. I don't know if she's calling them the Brooklyn Bruiser series anymore. It might just be Brooklyn now. I don't remember, but these are hockey romances. The first 3 are so good, and then of course there's a hint at the relationship with the hockey team owner and his assistant, and Berkeley didn't publish it, and I was so sad. And then Serena Bowen published it as the first independently published book in this series, and I absolutely loved it so much. So if you like sports romances, pick these up. I think the rest are hockey players, books 5 and 6. I've only read through 5. I haven't read her newest one. I think I skipped one. I don't remember. There's one I haven't read, and I feel like she's coming out with another one. I might be wrong, but they're really good. I would highly recommend them. The next series I have, I think it's the Breathless series. I don't know specifically what these are actually called, but it's Breathless by Lex Martin, and it's Shameless and then Reckless, and Reckless just came out. I listened to it on audio. I'm not sure if the other ones are on audio, but if they are, I would highly recommend. This one is about a guy whose sister and brother-in-law, his like sibling dies with their spouse, and he's left in charge of a baby to take care of, his niece, and our main character girl actually worked with them on their farm, and then they end up falling in love, like raising this child together. So good. I enjoyed book 2 as well, and book 3 is really cute too. They all take place in this small town, so book 3 is at the wedding of this couple, which is super sweet, but they can be read as standalones. They're fun. Book 3 is a Friends to Lovers romance too, so if you want the small town romance, you should read this series. I also love Lex Martin's other series, which is Dearest Clementine's the first one. Those are also standalones and pretty different from one another because the first one's in college and another one is in college, but then I think the third one's when they're out of college and she's like a reporter and he's an athlete. They're so good. I would definitely recommend any series by Lex Martin. Just to confuse you a little bit more is this series by Alexa Martin, not Lex Martin. These are football romances. Again, I don't know what the actual series is called, but there's Intercepted, Fumbled, and then Blitzed is the third one. I was not a fan of Blitzed, but I loved book 2 so much. These are definitely standalones. The first one is a girl who has a long-term relationship with a football player, figures out he's cheating on her, and then she runs into the new quarterback, who is someone she had a fling with in the past. This one, she's a single mom, and it is reconnecting with the father of her child, who is on the same football team. And book 3 is another girl and a player on the football team, and they're so good. I love them. They really deal a lot with the whole concussion thing going on in professional football, so it takes a really serious look at that. Lex Martin is married to a former football player, so she's lived that life, so it's really fun to see that, and I just really love this series. The next one's actually a series I didn't like book 1, and then I skipped to book 4 because I wanted to, and that is the Elements of Chemistry series, I believe, by Brittany C. Cherry. I wasn't a huge fan of this one. They were just both very damaged people, and they were using each other, and they knew they were using each other, and then they fell in love, so they both lost people in their past. I wasn't a huge fan of that storyline, but I went ahead and skipped to The Gravity of Us by Brittany C. Cherry, like I said, and because that is people's favorite in the series, and so I was like, I just need to get to a good one in this series, so I did, and it's one of my favorite books of all time. So this, I haven't even read books 2 and 3, and I don't even remember if this is even connected to book 4. If it is, I don't know how it's connected. They might have been introduced in the other books, but I was completely fine reading it out of order, so these are very emotional. 4th book is so good, and I'm definitely excited to give books 2 and 3 a try. I just haven't yet. The next one I have you all have heard of, and that is The Kiss Quotient and The Bride Test by Helen Huang. Again, the series name is not on either of these books, so I can't tell you what that series name is, but we are just in limbo right now for the 3rd book, The Heart Principle. We had a cover reveal last year. It was supposed to come out this year. Now it's pushed back to 2021, and that is supposed to be Kwan's book, and I am so excited. This is an instance where you fall in love with the character in book 1. He's in book 2 even more, and then you're like, okay, now give me book 3 now, because I need his story. And I don't know when we're gonna get it, but these are such great books with autism rep. Stella in this book has it, and then Kai in this book has it, and this one she hires a gigolo named Michael to help her feel more comfortable in intimate situations, and in this one Kai's mother gets a bride for him from Ho Chi Minh City. So yeah, they're just both amazing, really great diverse reads, and I'm dying for book 3. Then I have the Wait For You series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. These are new adult books, and I flew through all of them on audio. I would highly recommend the audiobooks. They are so good. They all blur together to me now. I can't really tell you what each one individually is about because I can't remember which one's which. I do know in this one she had a very bad past. She did go through a traumatic experience, and our main character, Cameron, is just a lovable guy who like everybody loves, and he just sees this girl and is there for her, and it's such an adorable romance. Helps her become comfortable and get out of her shell. Book 2 is a character that was in here, and then we get like the characters who are friends with each other, so it's really like a group of friends, and they all are close to one another, and we get all of their stories, and I love them so much, so I love this series. Next is the Dirty Deeds series by J. Daniel. These are adult romances, and I've skipped over them. I think I've read 1, 2, and 4, or 1, 3, and 4. I can't remember if I read book 2 or 3. I don't remember the order of them, but this one is a wrong number situation. She calls this guy and tells him off for breaking a friend's heart, and it's the wrong number, but they still keep talking, and they don't meet until like later on, and they don't know if they should meet or not. It's really one of those adorable circumstances, and I know book 4 are 2 single parents who fall for each other, so I don't remember what the other one's about that I read because I don't remember. It's been a while, but this is a really fun series I would definitely recommend. And the last one's one of my favorite authors, and I actually started on book 3, and then I backtracked and then read them in order, and that is the Bully series by Penelope Douglas. I read book 3, loved it so much. It was a step-sibling romance. Yeah, I know, those are totally outdated now, but that was when the step-sibling thing was huge in the new adult world. Then I went back to this, which is a bully romance. It is Jared and Tate. I've read this twice. I've read the whole series twice now. I read them all in paperback, and then I went back and listened to them all. I love them except for book 4. I haven't listened to that again, but that's one of my favorites as well, and that's another situation where you meet his character and you're just so intrigued by him and what he does in different books, and you're like, okay, I need to know his story. I need his romance now. So these are all really great. I love them. Highly recommend. And those are some romance standalone series recommendations for you. Let me know down below if you have any recs like this, and if you prefer standalone series or continuous series of romances. I would love to know. As always, thanks so much for watching, and have a good day. Bye.